What's up everybody and welcome to One Man's Opinion. And today I'm doing my first video game review and we're talking about Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Now typically when I do my movie reviews, I usually start off with the negatives of the movie and then work my way to the positives. But with this particular video game, there are three main things to do. You have the campaign mode, you have multiplayer mode, and then you have the zombies mode. I'm just going to kind of cover these three topics a little briefly and then work our way through them, give you the score at the end. First of all, let's talk about the campaign. The campaign is pretty good. There are a couple things that I want to talk about. First of all, a big positive for me, early in the game, you get a little bit of an RPG to this Call of Duty campaign, which is something I've never really seen before, not to this degree anyway. It's really clever how you kind of create your own character here. You give your character a name, you give him a little bit of a backstory, you give him personality traits, which essentially just act as perks for your character throughout the game. But I thought that it was a clever way of having perks introduced in a narrative way to add them into a psych profile. That was a really clever thing. And honestly, this RPG element gave the campaign so much potential. I really wish they had leaned harder into that RPG way of doing things. Even after creating your character, the game presents you with options, usually having to do with either capturing or killing a person of interest. The biggest problem with these options is there's no gravity to them. Frankly, by the time you get to the end of the game, it's hardly even mentioned. So after you beat the game, whether you choose one path or the other, these choices you made throughout are only somewhat mentioned in a wrap-up of what happened after the story is finished, essentially. And whether you go one way or the other, it essentially just tells you this person was captured, whichever party was able to get information from them, or this person was captured and the other party is going to have to rescue them or silence them. And it's just, there's no weight because it's just this is what will happen in the future now that you're done playing. Maybe they'll go back later and add more to the campaign, but I mean, even if they do, it's not something that's super interesting. You'll either be breaking someone out of a interrogation room or you'll be going there to kill that person. It'll be essentially the same choices you had as you played the campaign. Another thing taken away from the weight of these moments is the fact that you can literally go back and play those missions over at any given time. So essentially, as you're choosing missions throughout this game, there is a big evidence board and you choose which mission you want to take. Well, after you play a mission and you play through maybe a couple missions sometimes, you always make your way back to this safe house where this evidence board is. And if you want a different outcome to your mission, you can just click on that mission again and replay it. I'll give you a personal example. When I was playing through, there was a character who you're after, and after a long series of events, you end up in the same place with him. Well, you're running through and you're shooting a bunch of people, you're killing people, Call of Duty fashion, and finally you cut your way through all these henchmen and you get to him. He's at the other end of the room and he's trying to unlock a door to run, and you're told to quickly either grab him or execute him. Well, I didn't want to execute him because I thought I'll capture him and I'll get information out of him. So I ran up to him and butt stroked him and he died. And I was like, oh, that sucks. That's not really the outcome I wanted. If I wanted to kill him, I would have shot him. Why does hitting him with the butt of my rifle? I didn't know. Maybe I did it too fast. Maybe there was a button you were supposed to press to capture him, but I killed him. But I went back and checked later after I made it back to the safe house. I could replay that mission. And so I went ahead and replayed it just to see. And yes, you actually can just capture him. And yes, it does linger to the end of the game. So whatever decision you make last is the decision that you are stuck with at the end of the game. And you might say, well, at least it's consistent. But no, there's no weight to that because you can change your mind anytime. And regardless of what you pick, the outcome of the game is almost no different at all anyway. There's only one decision in the game that matters at all, and it's right at the very end. And essentially, you can help the CIA or you can help the Russians. I played both endings. One ending is more for helping the world, so you kind of make a choice that is for the betterment of the entire world. I didn't really like that ending. I made that choice first because I thought it was the right decision, but the ending to that one was highly predictable. The sad thing is, I think they thought when they wrote this ending that they were being clever, and it just didn't come off that way. It was really obvious what was about to happen. Very disappointing. The second option, you pretty much leave the world in ruin, but you get some personal vengeance that actually I found much more satisfying. Play it. I don't want to spoil too much, so just play the campaign. It sounds like I'm ragging on it quite a bit, but actually the campaign was a lot of fun. There were some really fun stealth missions. There were some really cool ideas. Again, the RPG ideas were really smart, and I wish they would have leaned into that. It would have been cool to be able to customize a character and have every decision you make permanent with weight that had consequence at the end. I really would love to play a Call of Duty game with that kind of RPG element. That would be really cool. So I wish they had leaned more into it. It was just really close to being an awesome campaign. That's why I'm ragging on it so much. Not because it was a bad campaign, but because it was this close to being a really awesome one. And so what we got was a really good campaign. The only other complaint I have is that the loading screens were sometimes messed up, which you say, okay, it's a loading screen, but often the story would sort of play out. You would have like a little cinematic, and it was like the sound was always ahead of the words. It was like it was having trouble keeping up. And so that's a little bit of a complaint. I expect these bugs to be worked out as patches come through, as the game is out a little bit longer and they continue to patch the game. Moving on to multiplayer. Multiplayer is pretty fun. I've been playing quite a bit. I've played through quite a different game types. It's your typical game types that you get in a Call of Duty game, but they work. There's a reason that they've stuck with this format for so long. People continue to play them, and it's a whole lot of fun. I wish there were more operators to choose from. There's not very many. Of course, I haven't unlocked the few that are there either. I think I only have Adler unlocked. So I do look forward to unlocking some of those. And again, I'm sure as the game is around a little bit longer, more characters will be added. So that's not too much of a complaint. I suppose my biggest complaint with multiplayer is I've been having a lot of issues with communication via headset. So there are a lot of times when I'm playing with a friend or my brother or whoever that I have no trouble hearing him or talking to him while we're in the game lobby. But once the game actually starts, the dialogue is all broken up. And so all you get is, now, it's not like that all the time. Sometimes it's a little better. Sometimes it's a little worse. And I've played with several people, or at least talked to several people, and a lot of people are having the same issues. Not everyone is. And so I think it must be a hit or miss thing. It's not just an Xbox thing. I know some people who play on PC that have had that issue as well. So that's a big issue for me, and it's a disappointing one. And look, again, a lot of the things I'm going to complain about are things that will probably be fixed as time goes on. But you don't get a pass for selling me an incomplete game. You don't get to sell me an incomplete game at full price, charge me full price for that full game, and then give me a 3/4 finished game. And so it takes pretty big negatives here. And we see this a lot now. Now that games are more online based, they tend to just push out games because they know they can just patch issues as they come. Whereas before online was so prevalent, a game would not be put on the shelves until it was 100% complete, or at least the majority of major bugs worked out. If you're playing online, communication with your party members is a major issue, and it can be the difference between a win and a loss. So this is a major issue that needs to be fixed, and for that reason, multiplayer suffers a little bit. As far as zombies go, zombies were brought back to form. In the past, you used to get the endless zombie run, where all you did was find guns with your buddies, and you would load up and you would just take on waves of zombies, and you would get your juggernog and your double tap and all that good stuff. But really, it was just about outlasting the zombies. And that was always my favorite kind of zombies. As zombies progressed throughout the Black Ops games, it became more complicated, where you had to like assemble a helicopter, or you would have to find certain glyphs on the side of a wall that would unlock new doors and new rifts in time and space. Like, it got really complicated. And yeah, some of that's still here, but you have options to just play the good old-fashioned zombies, to get on with your buddies and to run around and just see how long you can survive. And that to me was always the most fun. So I'm very happy to see that back. You can do some of the more complicated stuff, I believe. I haven't done it yet, but for the most part, it seems to be a pretty straightforward zombies thing. I'm sure more maps will come. I'm sure more variations will come, but I'm happy to see zombies return to form. Having said that, you can't do split screen, and that's a huge issue. Look, headsets are great. Being able to communicate with someone who's far away is huge. My brother is in the Marines and is often not home, but there are a lot of times when we can get on a headset and we can play together. And that's huge. We would never be able to do that without multiplayer the way it is nowadays. But that doesn't mean that I don't still want to get in a room with my buddies, with my girlfriend, with whoever, and play split screen together. Because as great as this is, being able to communicate with each other from long distances, to be sitting right there and to have those reactions and those moments with your friends in the same room where you can just talk and be yourselves and see each other, facial expressions, the surprise, all those great little moments and little details you can't quite get over the headset. And playing zombies split screen, I can remember in the original Black Ops and Black Ops 2, I remember sitting down with 3 and 4 friends at a house and dividing that screen up 4 ways or 3 ways or whatever and just turning loose on zombies for hours just to see what we could get done. And it was a blast. And it's better that way than doing it long distance. And so I am a little disappointed that we can't do split screen. Now again, I assume that this is something that is going to be fixed as the game goes on. But it's such a disappointment out the gate. There's no way this game could get an A for being sold as an incomplete product. And so taking all these things into consideration, as a quick summary to cap it all off, essentially Black Ops is a good game. It is a lot of fun. You can expect some of the classic things that you can usually do in a Call of Duty game to be present here in this game. Also, a return to form, in my opinion, for zombies. A lot of fun. And I didn't even mention the goofy little zombie arcade game thing you can play. I don't know what that is or whose idea it was, but that game is actually a little bit of fun. I enjoyed it. It's goofy and it's totally different from anything I've seen in a video game in some time, but I enjoyed it. It's not something I'm going to play all the time, but it's nice to jump in there and just goof off every now and again. It's much less serious than the other zombies. It's a good time. A lot of good things with this game. A lot of potential that I wish they would have leaned into a little bit more. A lot of things that aren't quite right either. So I guess you could call it a mixed bag if you want. It's a mostly positive review with just a few small things and maybe 1 or 2 glaring errors that should have been fixed before the game was released. All things considered, mostly positive. I'm going to stick Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War with a B-. All right, thanks so much. Have you played Call of Duty Cold War, Black Ops Cold War, Call of Duty Black Ops 5 Cold War? It's a lot. Have you played the game, had a chance to really dive into it? Tell me what you thought about the campaign, if you've beaten it, or multiplayer. What's your experience been with the headsets? Have you had issues? I would love to hear it down in the comments. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell because that's how you'll know when I post videos. Continue to support me. I appreciate it so much. If you disagreed, just remember, it's only one man's opinion. Thanks.